threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
I almost pulled a Kobe.
What?
That burp snuck out.
Oh, is that
right
what it
as
was?
It started, yeah.
It's always because I'm always
I'm
taking
a gentleman.
I'm taking a big drink like before we get started.
Yeah,
Like, I got to clear
exactly.
and then it's like you got all that bubbles down in your guts, and they want to come out when you talk.
Yep.
That's all right, Cam.
It's okay.
It's our podcast. It ain't nobody else. We'll burp if we want.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Cameron, it's colder than
Oh, man.
balls
I'm
outside.
so sick of it.
Yeah, I'm done. But
I'm always like looking forward to like a change in season
Yeah.
and having the snow. And I don't mind the snow, but right now, I hate it.
There's a lot of it.
Because it's so cold.
The great thing is, though, today is Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah, it is today, huh?
And we have 6 more weeks of winter.
So you're going to hear this podcast over and over.
What?
Over and over.
The great thing
Hardcast.
is, today is Groundhog Day.
Yeah, exactly.
We just keep doing that over and over.
It's a short Groundhog
This thing
Day.
is weird. But Cam, we got a podcast today, so that's great. If we were going to
It is great.
redo a day over and over, this would be the one.
I would agree.
You know what I mean?
I would agree.
Just podcasting every day, all the time.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. But what are we talking about?
Last week we didn't. We had kind of a different week and
That's right.
started, and it was weird. Like both Kobe and I on Thursday were like, something's amiss. Like this is
I
a
don't
weird
feel right.
day today.
I don't feel right.
Just didn't have as much fun as I usually do.
Yeah.
So today we wanted to talk about. And this is a little kick my wife's on right now too.
Oh, is it?
Being a minimalist, and so we're going to talk about the minimalist prepper, and
Yeah.
is it something that's possible? Because if you think about them, they seem very different. But
They do.
We're going to tell you how you can kind of incorporate the minimalistic mind with the prepper mind.
For sure.
We're going to do it real good.
We hope so. We'll see how it
gonna
goes.
happen.
Before we get into that, though, I got to tell you about BattleBox. It is the monthly subscription box for men, full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of handpicked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here is a sampling of what users received this month. The Aqua Tabs, 397 milligram tablets.
397.
Booyah, that's great. And then we got the Spyderco Resilience. Yeah.
It's a big knife.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know Spyderco made that big.
Though that's a big, but it's lightweight.
Very lightweight.
That's the cool thing. All this badassness starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes in one Best Men's subscription box of 2020. Our listeners get a free knife when you sign up at trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first BattleBox plus a free knife when you sign up at
There you go.
trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers.
Listener reviews starts now.
This show is just plain fun.
5 stars.
I look forward to a new episode of this podcast every week. The guys genuinely seem like they are genuinely
Yeah.
having a good time and bring some much needed levity to the subject that often gets far too self-serious.
Yeah, that's true.
They do a great job of avoiding the pitfalls of so many other preparedness shows while still bringing us excellent content and advice. Keep up the solid work, gents.
Thank you.
CWYN.
Winhoff. Quinhoff.
I love the CW.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
my favorite channel since I was 12 years old. Right?
The CW Inhoff.
Yeah. If you guys want to be part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, leave us a 5-star review, and make it awesome.
It's a mad, mad world.
Cameron, dangerous fungal infections are on the rise.
Ooh, perfect timing.
I know, and a growing body of research suggests warmer temperatures might be a culprit. Obviously, the human body's average temperature is 98.6 degrees, and it's been too hot for most fungi to thrive, apparently. I'm not a fungologist, but...
You're not a fun guy either.
I'm not a fungi either. But as temperatures have risen globally, some fungi might be adapting to endure more heat stress, including conditions within the human body. Research suggests climate change might also be creating conditions for some disease-causing fungi to expand their geographical range.
Jeez.
So...
Living in your heat holes.
Exactly. Death from fungal infections are increasing due in part to growing populations of people with weakened immune systems.
Yeah.
You little babies, start getting better immune systems, okay?
Well, some of them have other reasons.
I guess, people. At least 7,000 people died in the U.S. from fungal infections in 2021. That's up from just a couple hundred in 1970.
Yeah.
And that might just be a
It is kind of
population.
scary. It is kind of scary because it's like when you're treating people for cancer and stuff, you're like wiping out their immune system. Then all these weird things start
Yeah,
popping up.
for sure.
And AIDS and stuff like that. So.
In the video game and HBO show The Last of Us.
Oh, it even brings it up.
Yeah. A fungus infects people en masse and turns them into monstrous creatures. The fungus is based on a real genus, Ophiocordyceps. I
love that
think I
one.
said that wrong. That includes species that infect insects, disabling them and killing them. So anyways, it's just kind of saying that like that isn't that far off if things continue to go
Don't say
on this
that, don't
path.
say that.
And you're going to hear those. You know what I mean?
Man, I'll have to say, like, the first episode when it was like in the 70s,
Oh,
and they're sitting
so
there
good.
talking about it, I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah, and it's just like the color correction in the film that they use.
Oh man, HBO is so
so
good at that.
good.
Like their directors and
Yeah.
stuff, and the guy that did Chernobyl.
You know, I see that part I thought was great, but I honestly haven't been like insanely
With the
impressed
environments and
with
stuff.
the cinematography.
yeah,
with the rest of it.
I read comments on that too, and I can kind of see their point.
It's good, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, the story, the writing is really good, the acting is fantastic.
Maybe
but
that's why Chernobyl was so good because it was in that setting that
Yeah.
I loved at the start of this.
looked so good.
Yeah.
But I expected a little more on the cinematography side. I'm like, oh, this is gonna look gorgeous.
of course
it
you did.
looks good, but it's not like amazing.
Yeah.
you know.
Kobe has a different eye for that, so
But I'm up to the third episode, and they've all been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people that on this last episode that were upset.
I haven't got to this.
Oh,
one.
you haven't? Okay.
Episode 3.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't got to this.
But
one,
they're
so.
saying it might win like best TV episode of the year.
Of course it will. Of course it will.
Of course it will.
I'm just kidding.
But it was good. It really was good.
But yeah, like the fungal infections do like terrify me.
Yeah.
They're just creepier, and it's like they're a living organism. Like I don't know, it's just different. And so I'm like, man, it is kind of a terrifying
Yeah,
thing.
it
So
really is.
thanks for that article. That helps me sleep at
You're
night.
welcome.
In this article, U.S. government logs more than 500 UFO reports with hundreds unexplained. Did you see that?
I did not.
Man. The U.S. government is examining 510 UFO reports, more than triple the number in the 2021 file. While many were caused by drones or balloons, hundreds remain unexplained.
Swamp gas.
Swamp gas. A 2022 report by the Director of National Intelligence said that the DNI, not the DI, said that 247 unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP reports have been filed with it since June 2022. 144 sightings of suspicious aerial objects are under examination. So like all of these, they kind of narrowed it down. There's still a ton that they can't explain. They said that there's one other part here. Some of these uncharacterized UAP appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and required further analysis. So they're kind of like looking at all this. Why are we seeing more now, huh? Tell me that. More testing?
Fungus?
Fungus.
Does that have something
That's
to do with
exactly.
that? I don't know.
More access to drones?
Could be.
China government doing new things? Who knows?
Could be.
A lot of creepy stuff, but most of them are reported by United States Air Force and other people in the aerial
So crazy.
career. So I don't know, I thought it was pretty interesting. It's like the reports have shot through the roof lately. Scary times, but I think it's cool.
Hopefully they don't literally come through the roof. You know what I mean? Yeah. Take me up to space. Who knows?
There's a song.
It is a mad, mad world. But today we're not here to talk about UFOs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about preparedness, but kind of like, can you be a minimalist prepper?
Yeah.
can you do it? Because it, like Cam mentioned earlier, it kind of seems like it's a dichotomy. It's like prepping and minimalism kind of, they're opposites.
They really are. Like,
But-
if you break them down and think about it, it's like,
Yeah.
how can they work together?
But I think they can.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, you can't be a total minimalist, obviously.
Right.
But you can incorporate some minimalism into prepping. We're going to talk about some ways and things to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is a good time of year because I think people are trying to figure out ways to be, more organized and try
Yeah.
and work on their home itself. And it's like,
Yeah.
you can include this into your prepping.
I'm
and
waiting
just-
till it warms up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not doing anything until it's
And like
over 40 degrees.
you got
done.
a long time.
I know, but I'm not doing anything.
But yeah, my wife's kind of looking at it right now for our home, and she's like, "Let's start with all your stuff."
Of course, yeah. We'll
No,
get to my stuff later.
She's been good at right now. She's been cleaning up her stuff, but it's
Does
always
she have
like
a serum pile?
Those backpacks gonna go?
Is there a serum pile somewhere?
No, that hasn't been touched.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, one of the basic tenets of preparing for an unknown future is saving up supplies, and that's kind of the thing. It was like we prepare for the unknown, and so with that, we kind of over prepare, and that's what we talk about a lot. It's just like you want to have enough for most scenarios, and so it can be cluttered sometimes. It can be stuff that just never gets used, ends up expiring. So you can go too far, and so on the other hand, minimalism, just as the name suggests, is that no extra clothing or toys or extra electronics. You only need. Only the things you need, nothing
Yeah.
more. So
I see.
how do you put it together?
I see the draw of minimalism, but
I do too.
I think a lot of them take it too far.
They do.
It's like I got one shirt, half a sock. You know what I mean? And a spoon.
That's what yeah.
It's like, no, you gotta have more than
Yeah.
that.
And then there's the same thing. Preppers can go to the extreme
Yeah.
too. So
I
it's
got
like
a truckload of shirts, 87,000 socks,
yeah.
and a whole back.
Minimalist dump here. It's just the back of his truck.
Bring your stuff. Beep.
So that's how the two work
Yeah.
together.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I definitely see the appeal of minimalism too, because I do have a lot of crap that I'm like, why do I have a drawer full of
Yeah.
cords?
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, found a cord. I knew I'd need
I
it
know.
one day, but I haven't touched it for like 4 years.
I like the appeal of minimalism really gets me when my kids haven't cleaned the basement or something, and I
Yeah.
go down there and it's just full of junk, and I'm like, just get rid of all of it.
Exactly.
Just throw it all in the backyard. We'll have a
Yeah.
bonfire.
Yeah.
I
In
hate
some
all this
ways, you
stuff.
want to just do that. You're just like,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could just reset and,
Yep.
and start from scratch. And you'd probably build the same thing.
Why we got so many family pictures? Throw them in the bonfire.
This is a full wedding album. We need half that album for other
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
But yeah, so how can they coexist? It seems kind of difficult to do because
Yeah.
they seem so opposite. One, you're over planning. One, you're cutting everything out.
Feels like an Israel-Palestine kind of deal. It's tough. How do you...
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We've been
Exactly.
trying to figure this out for a long
Yeah.
time. I don't know.
But a lot of it comes down to like organization.
Yeah, it really does.
Like
doesn't
that's
it?
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And so, like you were saying, the extreme side of minimalistic living is like one light bulb, half a bed. This is a bed couch slash
yeah,
it's like-
kitchen table.
you don't need to go that
slash
far.
toilet slash kitchen, like microwave, like everything is.
Yeah. You do not need to go that far.
No.
You can if you want, but being a prepper, it's going to be a little tricky. So,
Sure is.
but they can definitely go together, and it does come more down to like having a really organized plan. Because if you think about it, and we'll go into this in more detail, like your bug out bag is a very organized, it should be a very organized 72-hour kit that's put to the side, and it really doesn't take up that much space, and
Yeah.
it's ready to go.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is that's very minimalistic.
At times, mine's very organized. At times, it is not
Man,
even close.
I dig things out to like go shoot, and
Yeah.
then I never put it back in, and then I'm just like, so yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who
Who you apologizing
I'm
to?
apologizing to you guys. I'm sure you know I'm not like
Yeah.
this super organized prepper, but
I'm the same way, right? I'm
it's
a
like
mess
it's
right
frustrating. So
now.
but and again, like applying all like the minimalistic things, there are some limitations to
Yeah.
following that along with being a prepper. One, your plan B and plan C can be very limited or not even there because
Yeah.
you're just like, that stuff, that's hard to have those plans in place and the supplies for it, because it's like it probably will never ever be touched, but that's just the prepper way. So
Right.
the other thing is it's slower to get preparedness ready if you're doing the minimalistic approach, because you're just like you'll kind of see more after we get into this, because it's like you're testing things, you're trying to make sure you have the best fit product for multiple purposes and things like that. So it can take a lot more time to become that.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about how to like be more minimalistic with what you have, and then for future building of prepping supplies. So
Yeah, and so obviously if this is something that appeals to you, you've got to figure out where your balance is between full-on preparedness and minimalism, because you have to go down the scale somewhere, because you can't be like perfectly prepared and all the way on the minimalist side.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You can't be perfectly prepared and all in minimalist.
there's definitely those limitations for sure.
So you're just going to have to figure out where you are on that scale. So let's talk about some ways that you can apply minimalism into your prepping, or, work on getting towards, because you're never going to be perfectly minimalist if you're a prepper. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
But you can work towards that if it's something that's like, I can't be a prepper because it's too much stuff. Or there's, I don't want it, but you can do it. You just have to do it in a certain way. So let's look at some ways we can do this. The number one thing, and we talk about this all the time, is starting with that threat assessment, because the thing is we don't all face the same disasters. We don't all face the same emergencies. So if you're one of those people that is listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos, and you're just like running out and you're buying the gear that they say, even if it's something that Cam and I say, you've got to have this.
Yeah.
Don't just run out and buy it. You need to do a threat assessment to understand what you need, what your threats are. So it can be a huge plus, especially if you're going for the minimalist prepper lifestyle. So do a quick preparedness threat assessment to determine your most likely SHTF scenarios. And therefore, that's going to show you the things that you should prep for that are going to be the most important.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how, like, everybody should do this, but especially if you're trying to really limit the gear and the things you have, because it's going to help you hone it down.
Yeah. That's another point, like you were saying with the stuff. It's like consumerism.
Yes.
People that aren't prepared tend to fall into that, because they're just like, oh no, something's coming. They buy all this crap that they don't have any idea how to use and never use it. And then
it sits in the basement forever.
Exactly.
Or it sits in a cupboard. Yeah. So a quick threat assessment looks something like this, and they're not all exactly like this, but this is a way you can do it. First, look at your location. Do you live in, Tornado Alley? Do you live in a densely populated area in the city? Is there high crime? Are you, on the coast of Florida where hurricanes are a thing? Do you live near a military facility? Are you in the middle of nowhere? Because that's something you got to think about too. Is there a nuclear power plant next door?
Yeah.
All of those things you've got to look at. And again, those are going to show you the things that you need to look at first when it comes to preparedness. Now look at your health. Do you have health issues? Do you have a family history of health issues? Are there disabilities with people that you're a part of your group or your family? Obviously, those need to be very high on the list, because there's something that you have to deal with specifically, not other people.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it.
That can create such a huge amount of over the top. Like
really can.
You can just completely consume areas of other interests. Like you just like, wow, I have all these medicines, I have all these supplies, medical gear. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't have room for anything else.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And it's not just medical. There's other things too. My daughter just got back from the orthodontist yesterday. She has to get braces. Right,
you gotta start a new podcast.
Yeah, we gotta start selling something. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we gotta figure it out. But I was just thinking about this last night, which is really weird. I'm like, she gets her braces on next month. What happens if SHTF hits? Those braces are on. What the crap do I do?
I actually thought about that. Somebody had mentioned it in some forum. I was like,
really?
I didn't even think about dental, maintenance and like who does remove those? How do you remove them?
Do I just get my Leatherman out and just figure it out? I don't know.
Yeah. But I think you soak her mouth in like a Coca-Cola paint thinner and let it break up that glue.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, health issues are something you have to look at. Now look at your financial situation. Do you have savings? Do you have a good job that's steady? Do you have a lot of debt? Do you have cash on hand? There's so many things to look at financially that you need to be aware of too. And the thing I love about financial preparedness is, boy, that does not clutter up your life. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you can do as a minimalist really easy.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about, I got a bag full of gold or cash. You know what I mean? Like it's not that big a deal. You can figure that out. Also, look at anything that could bring up an emergency situation and then rank them by likelihood and severity, right? Which one is the most likely and which one out of those would be the most severe if it happened? So you're going to rank them. You're going to weigh them somehow, however you do that. So the things at the top of your list are going to be the most important things to prepare for. This gives you a basic guideline of what is most important when you're looking at preparedness and when you're looking at items to purchase. And it tells you what not to worry about if you're trying to really lean more towards that minimalist lifestyle. So I think a threat assessment is a great place to start.
I do too.
And like, again, not
Because
just
we talk
for
about
them.
volcanoes, but in reality, it's like,
Yeah.
like you have to assume, well, at what point
Yeah.
and where do I live that I'll actually ever have to consider that if you're wanting to really kind of
Yeah.
be minimalist.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about the Yellowstone caldera, but that thing blows. No amount of
does
Visqueen
blow.
and duct tape is gonna like help me. You know what I mean? In
I
the
got a
end.
Lowe's nearby.
Yeah, it's all good.
As long as they're open.
I got it. I'm a True Value Rewards member. It's all gonna be good. So
Got
anyways,
that money saved up.
yeah. So that's something to think about. And a thing that we talk about quite frequently is your personal apocalypse, right? To me, this is another important aspect, and it kind of comes back to this threat assessment thing. Look at those aspects of your personal apocalypse, because to me, if you are prepared for those and those first, and maybe even just those only, you're going to be okay most of the time.
Yeah.
Like that's going to get you through. So make sure you have, auto preps or car breakdown preps. Make sure your health and your fitness is in order. Your financial preparedness is in order. With your home, are you ready for house fires? Are you ready for break-ins? Are you ready for power outages? Those things right there, if you figure those out, and that can be very minimalistic, you're going to be okay.
But you're still way ahead of
like
majority.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna feel pretty good about yourself and your situation, preparedness wise, and probably minimalistic wise too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyways, that's another way to look at it. Along with that threat assessment, the emergency plan, it takes up like no space. It's paper. It can even be digital.
Yeah.
Cameron. So, an emergency plan is a must-have, I think, for every prepper, but especially for someone who wants to lean towards the minimalistic prepper lifestyle. It can just get you so much further ahead in your preparedness, and it's little effort and it's little clutter, and you don't have to buy anything, you don't have to store anything, you just have a plan.
Yeah. It's
So
little space.
Yeah, so little space. So make sure that that's part of that process when you're trying to prepare as a minimalist prepper.
For sure.
Needs versus wants.
That's a tough one.
It really is kind of a tough one, but it becomes very, very crucial again in this sort of minimalistic prepper assessment. I think the way to do this would probably be to make a list of all the items that you have, and then probably all the ones that you feel like you might need or want or are looking to get, right? And then put them each into two columns, a need column and a want column. Obviously, the stuff that you need has to stay.
Yeah.
If it's something you like need, it has to stay. If it gets into that want column, boy, you can make that assessment, that decision based on your preparedness versus minimalism level that you're trying to reach. Right?
I know this, like Tawny, my wife was showing me like this minimalistic advice that they had is like, they have like a popular, I can't remember what the podcast is called, but they talked about like if something costs more than $30, then they kind of just like they sit and think whether or not in the next 30 hours would they need it? Like would it be useful for them? And then that applies both the things they have. It's like if I could go without this for 30 hours, is it really that essential?
That's an odd number of
It
hours.
is an odd number. It's like the 30-30 rule.
Oh, okay.
And then if it's $100 or more, then I tend to wait 30 days on the decision to buy that thing. That's very strict
That is
minimalism.
yeah.
But I'm like, if you're wanting to like maybe set those little boundaries of like, let me think about it for, of those products like you were saying, it's like, I would love like a whole home generator system from, but it's like,
Sounds
man,
great.
what a huge cost. And it's like, would it ever get used?
Yeah.
How many power outages have I had? Would it, you
Yeah.
know, or could I get by with something like just a simple generator for one room? You know, that's probably what I would do.
And again, like these levels are going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like everybody, like some people are going to be like, screw it, I don't want to be a minimalist.
Yeah. That's why extreme minimalism it just doesn't apply very well, but you can blend them.
Yeah, it has to be sort of a happy medium mix depending on where you're at, right? So, yeah, so just that need versus want, I think, is a big kind of crucial step too, when especially looking at your stockpiles of whatever it is, right?
This is interesting, though, to think about, like, you know, those people that live in those little mini homes?
Yeah.
What kind of preparedness plan do they have?
I don't know.
Maybe they have a good one.
But again, they absolutely could, because it kind of comes back
They just slide their house out of the way. There's a bunker underneath.
Yeah,
It's got all the junk.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there's people that are preparing,
but they're more comfortable in living.
Yeah.
In a scenario where you don't have all these luxuries.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, I'm already used to this.
They may have more
poop
cash
outside.
on hand. Yeah, their financial situation may be better.
Yeah,
you know,
they might be more stressed.
But there's RV preppers, there's apartment preppers.
Yeah.
It's very similar because you have very limited space.
Exactly.
Right. So, the next thing I would look at is your vehicle, and so we talk about this a lot. Bug out vehicles, they're so rad. They're so cool. Are they necessary?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, you've got to decide that, but you can absolutely minimize down your bug out vehicle to an everyday vehicle you drive. That's just a good way to do it. And, you know, instead of saying, well, I've got this, but I've also got my bug out vehicle, you can make them one, guys. I promise. I don't have an extra bug out vehicle, but I'll still bug out if I have to.
Yeah.
So there's just another way that you can look at, okay, I don't have to have two vehicles. I can have one and make that work. And can you be prepared in that one vehicle without looking like that crazy van lady? You know what I mean? That has like that mountain of like dirty laundry in the back and like bin after bin.
The whole
of stuff.
front half of the dash
Yeah.
is just like bills and like
magazines,
receipts and stuff.
Yeah. That's not great. That's definitely on the opposite side of minimalism. But again,
My uncle's truck was that way.
oh my gosh, my grandma.
If like he had like a rollover on the highway, they'd be like, "There's 16 cars or something," because there's so much stuff.
That just is true.
That's just one pickup.
My grandma was that way. I had a grandma, a step grandma. I mean, Grandpa George, one of his wives. But anyways, her van was always like that. It was just like
Not polygamy. It's just he got married a bunch of times.
He got married a bunch of times. This is all at different points in his life, not at one time. But yeah, her van was like that. There was always this like, I swear there was like 1 million of like those legal boxes full of like files, and then like big bags of popcorn everywhere. Like I don't know why there was so much popcorn, but there was a lot of popcorn. You know,
I go to the duck pond a lot.
and then like a bunch of like baseball cards and boxes still everywhere. Like it was like the most random stuff.
So random.
And so yeah, I always think about that when I think about like, you know, getting your vehicle cleaned and
Like-
minimal. I don't know why, but again, it goes back to needs versus wants when you're stocking that vehicle with preparedness gear as well. Well, you know what I mean? Do you have to have all that stuff in there? I don't know. You got to figure that out. And then Cam's going to talk about this more later, but organization is going to be key, especially in your vehicle, to make it not feel like you're living in a mountain full of popcorn bags. Popcorn bags.
Yeah. For sure.
I have very vivid memories.
It's weird how some of those things just like stick in
her
your
driving
mind.
down the road drinking a Diet Coke, eating popcorn out of the bag. Like that's all I
And a
envisioned.
Pepsi.
It was Diet Coke with her.
Diet Coke.
Yeah, so that's really funny. All right, then we go to food and water. This one, this is very, very difficult.
It is.
These are the two items as a prepper that take up the most space. There's just no way around it.
They do.
Except for your house.
Yeah.
Your house takes up a lot of space. But yeah, so maybe in your minimalist prepper plan, you're going to opt for less water storage. But you're going to make up for it in other ways. Maybe you have more ways to procure
Maybe you
water.
retain more water.
Yeah, exactly. You got kidney problems.
You're a lucky man.
Lucky water skill.
Thank goodness I'm holding on to all this.
Minimalist prepper, he's got puffy yellow face. Just
I'll carry it around with me.
you just squeeze out these chicks and drink for a week.
Oh, that's good. I feel like it's going right back in.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, maybe you have more ways to procure water
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you have a plan with a spring nearby or something to that effect, or you have a way to purify water.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you should have both, but maybe you're giving and taking in this area. You don't have 400 gallons stored.
Right.
You have 10 gallons, but you have all these other ways to get water, right?
Yeah. Or you spend a little more for those, big water things
Sure.
that you can use as like a shelf. That's what I've done.
Sure.
Because I have both, and then I have all those others kicking around. I'm like, jeez. Like those are the ones I want to get rid of. I'm
Those
like,
like little gallon ones.
Yes,
Yeah, they're a pain in the
frustrating.
butt. They really are. Or maybe you're going to say, hey, look, I'm going to get the biggest hot water heater tank I can find. And so I'm going to rely on that as part of my water storage. But it's also going to double as a hot water heater. I'm going to have a hot shower.
That is minimalistic to a T.
It really is. And then maybe you get the biggest back of the water tank that you can, or toilet tank. Toilet tank. You know what I mean?
This massive, like,
Yeah. You just got like 30-gallon toilet.
when you flush, it's just like,
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are other
There are
ways.
bigger ones.
And then maybe, hey, I got a water bob in every bathroom.
55 gallons per flush.
I hate the earth, but I
know.
love
It just
storage.
goes through, but it's always there.
Always there.
I waste a ton, but
Yeah.
it's always stored.
And then maybe it's a water bob. You have one in every bathroom. They don't take up a lot of space, but when the time comes, you can fill those up and have a whole crap ton of water.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? So you can think about it that way. So then the food part gets very difficult. If you want to have a year's worth of food, it's gonna take up space.
Oh my gosh,
There's
yeah.
just no way around it, right? But maybe you say, okay, instead of that year's worth of freeze dried food, you're gonna really work on an awesome like rotating pantry and freezer system. It's like, this is food I'm already using, I'm eating, and it doesn't really feel like I'm prepping a lot more stuff. I'm just gonna have like a 3-month supply within that rotating system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's definitely a way you could go and still feel pretty prepared in the end. Or you say, hey, heck, I don't care. I know how to garden. I know how to forage. I know how to hunt.
Then it's all out there. And
Then
you
it's
don't have
all out
any
there. So I'm not saying that's the best way to go, but it is a way to go if you're trying to
Some
be
people have a system
minimalist.
that they could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are some ways you can deal with the food and water aspects. Medical supplies. Are you really going to use that full-on surgical kit?
This is an easy one to go over the top.
Yeah.
Not to even mention, and I'm actually going to talk a little more about that
Right.
on the medical tip side.
Yeah.
Because I was like, just the other day, I'm looking for some Tylenol, and it's like, I'm knocking pill bottles over. There's like cough syrup that's like this much left in there. I'm like, why do we have this in here?
Yep.
And it's just that you just forget, and you just leave it, and you buy new, and it gets pushed to the back.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Organization, again, is a big deal.
Yeah.
But are you like truly worried about having like a sucking chest wound and figuring out how to deal with it yourself?
This is
you know?
sucky.
Oh, it's sucky.
This is sucky.
That retained water is
Listen to
leaking.
You hear that?
Are you really going to use that SHDF dental kit? I don't know.
I know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you will.
All I know is if I do use it or if I use it on my neighbor, I'm charging like $800.
800
No
bullets.
insurance is covering it.
800 bullets. Yeah. So just make sure that your medical kit makes sense with your level of knowledge and really the necessity to preparedness.
Yeah.
So just look at it that way. Get rid of them gimmicks, Cam,
Oh my
because
gosh.
there are and I get sucked into them too.
Me too.
Because there's so many cool prepper items. They're kind of gimmicky. They're not necessary. They're not necessary for preparedness. I was going to say necessarily, but then it came out as necessary.
They're not necessary.
They're really not necessary though. So don't get sucked into like a really cool, interesting product that's probably not needed for preparedness.
True.
Because they just fill
Popcorn
up space.
bag / pillow.
That's all you need. Let me tell
You
you.
lay on it, you sleep on it, you eat it.
You
Eat your own bedding. Where'd you get those bean bags? Well, they're full of popcorn. That's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, they're just full of popcorn, huh?
Patented.
Why you got so many hacky sacks? That's my popcorn
Those are
storage.
seeds. Those are survival seeds.
Those are all nerds
That's a good
inside there.
Go over the top with
Candy
that.
storage.
Kids love playing hacky sack with the pumpkin seeds.
You like that, Pilla? That's all cotton candy inside. You can eat it.
Yeah, it's high carb
High carb, high sugar, high
backup
energy,
plan.
high sleepiness. Okay. I know. You sweat a little bit and it all gets like crusty inside.
Oh, man.
Don't eat that. That's mostly sweat now. It's sweat and sugar. That's all that is.
Sweet and salty. It's delicious.
Hey, we're going to get through the apocalypse with the sweet and salty sounds of my pillow. You know? Anyways,
Oh, man.
get rid of the gimmicks.
Yes, for
Something to
sure.
think about. Backups. You know, what's that prepper mantra, Cam? 2 is 1 and 1 is
Exactly.
none.
I had that somewhere else, too.
Right, that it makes total sense.
It does make sense.
But if you're going for the minimal lifestyle,
1 is 1 and 1 is done.
1 is 1 and 0 is none. Right? I don't know. But you've got to really be careful here because you could go.
1 is 1 and 1 is fun.
None is fun and 1 is dumb.
That's
a prepper minimalist.
I don't go by that mantra.
Yeah.
I go by 1 is 1 and I'm having fun.
I only say a few words. I'm a real minimalist. Don't even say a lot of words.
Yep. Don't even add or anything.
Don't have.
1 plus 2.
Only-
1 on 1 is super fun.
2 on 1. That's dumb. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what my wife says. Anyways.
I try to keep it simple.
Anyways, you want some cotton candy?
He reaches into his bag and wants some popcorn.
He's got it stuffed in his jacket, cotton candy, as the lining.
Cotton candy on the front, popcorn on the back.
Ooh,
That's a good deal.
that's a party.
You just
It's like a
reach
mullet.
this.
Party in the front, or business in the front, party in the back, cotton candy in the front. Popcorn.
Remember that jacket we got from Battle Box?
Oh,
You
yeah.
could stuff with like
You stuff
weeds and
things in it.
stuff to
Yeah.
like, man, that's what I'm doing.
That's not a bad
Stuff it
idea.
full of popcorn.
Yeah. Gets real hot outside. Pops.
No, it's already popped. It's already cushiony.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
So look at all your backup items, and just make sure that you're only doing that for the most critical items, like 15 headlamps, 14 backpacks.
Is a good idea.
That's a perfect amount.
What are you trying to say?
Anything over that is overkill.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm just saying you just got to be really careful with those backups because they can get out of
Yeah.
control.
And I feel like for us, it's even harder.
I know.
Because we get like stuff sent and it's like,
want
well,
that.
I already have it. Might as well keep more of it.
Yeah. What do you do?
I save it for gifts and it
Yeah.
ends up just being a gift to myself.
Exactly. I do the same thing.
So-
and then I get into I'll be like, I got too many knives, and I'll just
Yeah.
start giving them away to people on the street.
Then you're
pretty
like, why
much.
did I do that?
I'll miss that knife.
I
I never took it out of it was still in the plastic.
Yeah, I have.
I'll miss that knife. Yeah.
That was a good knife. Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about is your kits. Like, really curate these kits to where this is kind of what Cam was talking about before, and he might go into more of this,
Just a little more, yeah.
but
Well, basically the same.
with those kits, just make sure you're curating them to the most important and the best items that you could possibly use.
Yeah.
Understand your kits, understand the function of all the items. It can just help you declutter and minimize those things. Like, do you really use that gigantic ferro rod in your EDC kit? I mean, probably not. Like, it's not a bad idea to have it in there. But again, if you're going for a
gift.
minimalist, you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's too much. Do you use that big ass handyman jack in your Honda Accord? Probably not, right?
No.
You probably don't. So is the 2-man full tent thing?
2 is 1 and 1 is none.
None is 2 and 4 is enough to have for things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Bob.
Yeah. Bob's on to something here. I don't know.
He's got a good plan.
You gotta write that down? Something. Yeah, but just curate your kits to the very essentials and the very best items you can get.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah, you do.
Speaking of minimalism,
Yeah,
cyber protection is a very minimalistic prepper approach.
I agree.
You don't have it.
Yeah.
It's not tangible. You can't play with it, but it protects you. That's it.
Yeah. Great.
But really, you can get online protection at all times, whether you're on your own intranets or if you're on public Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi, however you go and say it.
Yeah.
Surfshark will protect you.
That's awesome.
It's a virtual private network that can protect you and all your devices. No matter how many you have that connect to the internet, it can protect
What if
all
I
of
had
them.
6?
Oh, you got it.
Really?
No extra plan charge.
Gosh dang, that's
One
insane.
plan to rule them all.
Yeah, probably not 7 though, right?
Nope, you can do 7.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
So you basically go Gray Man Online. It shields all your information from dirty websites that you're exploring for.
Ugh.
You shouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah.
But this will protect you. The other things, they have some pretty
That's pretty
they have pretty fancy stuff where
Yeah.
you can have virus protection. You can get emailed when your email's compromised.
Fungus
The password.
protection?
Yeah.
Fungus protection.
Fungus protection, yes. And the best of all is that you can get this plan for 24 months plus 3. That's 27 if you add it correctly. And
I
you
don't
can
have a
get it
calculator.
for less than $60.
I'm minimalist.
You can't beat it.
Yeah.
So 27 full months of protection if you go to surfshark.deal/casual preppers.
Up to 27 months.
Up to 27 months. And if you don't really know how to use a VPN, you want to check it out, you get 30 days for free, and you can just cancel it at any
A lot
time.
of days.
That is a lot. So it's an easy, slick-to-use app. They even have a plugin for Chrome or whatever browser you need, and you can just plug it into your router, so at all times you're protected.
That's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome. So go check them out, surfshark.deal/casual preppers, and you'll be protected forever.
Get it done, son.
Yeah. So probably the best way to apply minimalism to prepping is organizing. Like
Dude,
Colby said, it's like I always think about all the supplies I have and I put them in bins, and that's great. But if at any moment's notice I need to hurry, I'm not going to go through those bins and be like, which
Yeah.
one's the best? I really should be like just putting them into packs and things like that. So if you think about it, as a prepper, you are kind of minimalistic in that you put your supplies that you're going to need into those individual bags for each family member. What do you need more than that, really? Like, yeah, you have your home storage plan and stuff, but it should, keep it organized. But to minimalize, collecting too many things and having too much, if you start putting these kits together, that's a way you can eliminate excess. It's just like, I've got it already. I've got, 5 bags for my family, for each family member. I have an EDC kit. I have a vehicle kit. Like, it's all put into these kits that are in their places and they're ready to go. You really don't need all that other backup stuff.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. And you can still do the prepper approach and have backup, because we always talk about 2 is 7, 7 is 9.
Math makes sense.
Yeah. So follow that.
If you're minimalist, you may not have a calculator.
Right.
So
you got to go
trust
off that
us.
plan.
Trust us.
So, but yeah, organizing is the best way to be a minimalist, because you should eliminate the things that you have in excess if all those other kits are put together.
Yeah.
So I think that's one way that preppers can be minimalist, is that we can isolate things into these individual packs and plans, and then it's set. You don't really need any more.
Yeah.
EDC that you carry every day, that eliminates space in your bags and whatever else. Like, I know these supplies. I know that, your Leatherman is tried and true. I don't need all these other multi-tools or
Like your
knives and
jacket?
stuff. Yeah. Yes. Like
Okay.
my jacket.
Your Leatherman
It's got
jacket.
pockets in it. It's got a big old letter on the front.
Yeah.
My Leatherman.
Leatherman. Got the leather sleeves.
But that's like the approach that I think we all should use for being a minimalist prepper, is like organizing your supplies, getting them into their individual kits, and then deciding whether or not those excess items that you have really you need to keep them or not. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not going to go much more, because you talked a lot about like essential backups and curated kits and things like that, and that's kind of what organizing as a prepper turns into, is like having each for each plan and stuff like that.
Well, and I think there's another thing you could look at too with those kits. You could decide that, okay, I don't need an EDC. I don't need a get home. I don't need a bug out bag. Maybe I'm just going to make one kit to rule them all.
Yeah.
And it's going to be my kit, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so it could be kind of like this medium-sized kit that goes with you everywhere, but it eliminates the need for 2 other kits.
Exactly.
Right? So it's just a way that you could go to say, I'm downsizing, I'm minimalizing, but I'm still going to be prepared because I have a kit.
Right.
And if I had to bug out, I could take this kit. If I can take it with me to work if I need as EDC. If I had to get home, it could get me home too. So you're kind of just making one kit to rule them all. It's like the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it is exactly
Basically.
it is Lord of the Rings.
It is Lord of the
this is what we're
Rings.
talking about. And so And minimalists, they're going to go to the extreme of like, you're not using it. Do you really need it? And that's where it kind of there's a strong difference between preppers.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is like knowing those supplies, even if it, it's just organized and ready to go, and you have enough for each family member, and that's it.
Yep.
But I mean, I have way too much, and
it's fine.
And I've got it organized as best possible, but I still need to probably get rid of a lot of it.
I have like one of my New Year's resolutions is to really organize my prepper stuff.
Yeah.
And I got to do it by July 1st, so I've got to get going.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's going to help.
June's going to be busy.
Yeah. June. That last week of June.
It's going to be terrible.
It's going to get nuts.
I'm going to be, I took work off.
Yeah.
I ain't going to go to church.
Cam, you got to get over here. I don't know what to do with all these backpacks.
You're going to have all these listeners show up at your house. I was wondering if you had anything left over.
I'm just going to hang out in the front yard for a bit.
Is this a state sale?
Is another thing to think about is making your supplies easy to access. And maybe this doesn't feel like a minimalist thing, but I think it kind of does end up being that way. So you have like certain critical supplies, and you need to have them ready and available when you need them in those crucial times, right?
Should be organized.
Yes, and I think that's part of it. If you can downsize the amount of preps you have, and in the process keep those really critical items more easily accessible because of all of the downsizing, you've probably improved your readiness, right? So you got rid of a whole bunch of shit, but you can get to your kit like that now. That changes things, right? That makes you actually more prepared, probably in the end, for most situations, right? Making sure your first aid kit is right where you might need it. If that fire extinguisher is in the kitchen where you're probably going to have a fire, instead of being like downstairs under, whatever, a bed or something, like, just get those things. A well-integrated EDC kit that keeps things that you actually use often.
Yeah.
It's so good. And that out of sight, out of mind storage can kind of be a trap as well. Like, you don't know exactly what you have, so you like purchase random stuff that's probably not needed, or it's duplicates or triplicates. Out of sight, out of mind can get to a point where you don't understand what you have, and again, you're not buying the right stuff, and you're not prepping the right stuff. So
this doesn't mean like having all your bullets sitting out on the counter, because you're like, at least I know how many I
keep
have.
them in the fridge in a crisper.
But this is so true. Like, it seems more cluttery, and you seem less dirty and more organized if your stuff's out of sight. But most of the time, you're just like twice as dirty now, because it's just like you have crap everywhere. You don't know where it's at.
I have it in this room in my basement, and I have a door that shuts. Like, nobody gets in there, except, nobody's supposed to get in there. And so, like, if I go out of there and it's a mess, I'm like, nobody's going to see it.
I do too.
Right? I'm just throwing stuff in
My
there.
kids have the same idea.
Yep.
They're like tearing it apart in there.
Yep.
Dad doesn't come in here all the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it. That's all I got.
And this is the hard part, is downsizing your current preps. So a lot of us, and I assume a lot of you that are listening, probably already have, or should have, if you're still listening to this point, some preps that you've purchased, and you have some supplies and things like that. So how do you downsize what you currently have? How do you eliminate down to what you really like the essentials, and get rid of the excess? That's tough. That's tough.
Not easy.
My wife keeps telling me to do it all the time, and says some other stuff, and I don't listen.
I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
She's crazy.
I don't know.
Right now, I'm sure she's already writing down and listing the things that I should get rid of. She's like, I've been waiting for this episode.
That stupid computer in the basement.
Exactly.
That stupid PlayStation 4.
You have 4 controllers. I don't play with you.
No.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of all of them.
Yeah. So, consider looking through your items, which is always good to do anyway, to see just how essential they are and how useful they are.
And it's fun.
Kobe and I have some. Yeah, it is fun, and my kids love to do it.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, is that we get a lot of supplies, and I have a tendency to just stick them in one of the bins or one of the shelves that I'm like, and a lot of that is either not very useful, or I have a and I'll talk a little bit about that, but I have another tool that's like a multi-purpose tool that I don't need 4 other items. And so this is where that 2 is 1 and 1's none and none's 5 and 5 is 10.
-5 equals
So,
-4.
It's tricky being a prepper not to follow that. But really, if you have well-curated kits and you're organized, you can go through your items and eliminate the excess. Because not always do you need backups on, the same thing. I've got 2 machetes and 6 is one.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. But
is.
it's hard to get rid of that stuff. But that's you kind of have to go through it and realize what's essential to you. What do you actually use? Think about the last year, even with camping and all that stuff. Have you used any of that, or have you felt the need for any of it? And if you don't necessarily need to keep it
I
all.
cannot tell you how many items I have that are still in the box.
Oh, yeah, you probably have even more so.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
I don't need them,
You have a shop.
but I
Like, you
want them.
just sell it all.
Yeah, I could just open up a shop
And you-
probably.
yeah. Compact items. I'll have a little bit more on this, but these are like I was saying, the multi-purpose items. Sometimes you have them, you don't realize that they dual as as another tool. And
Dual tool.
Like, you may have 5 or 6 of one particular item, and you have one really good item that can do all of those.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just overlook, you don't realize what it can do or what it's used for. It's kind of weird to explain because I think this applies more to me and to us. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's not like I go and buy something. I'm like, I don't know what this does.
Well, what is this?
When I'll eventually open it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if people know you're preppers, it seems to be like a gift item that
Sure.
you'll get, and sometimes you just don't ever open it and use it, and so maybe it is better than what you have 5 of. You have one thing that can do all of them. So you can really consolidate items this way, or you can look at consolidating them by looking at some of the multi-purpose tools. And then skills and knowledge, and Kobe will talk a little bit more about this, but a lot of times you get supplies or you have some items that you have no clue how to use, and probably safely shouldn't.
Yeah.
For safety reasons, you shouldn't be using those.
Yeah.
So it's like, look at those items and things that you have, and decide whether or not, do you even have the skill, and do you want to acquire that skill, and are you going to anytime soon? If not, then that's something that you can probably just eliminate.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't ever bow hunt and you go buy a compound bow, but you don't have time to practice using it and stuff, that's a lot of space.
You got to get a backup.
Yeah.
You got to have 2
You gotta
just
get
in
2.
case.
If you break that one learning it,
Yeah.
then you have the one that you want to use.
Then you got to get another one to back
But
that one.
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of
Yep.
like just stocking up on items that you eventually are going to get around to. And so sitting down and making a plan to either acquire that skill or just get rid of the item.
Yeah.
So,
I get it. So let's talk about knowledge and skills, because it's something that's talked about actually quite frequently in the prepperverse. But like the more knowledge and the skills you have, kind of sometimes equates to less stuff, less tools, and it's not a 1-to-1 thing. It's not like you learn how to start a fire, now you don't need a lighter.
Yeah.
Right, but there's times where it can help you lighten the load
Up
on some
here.
stuff. And I don't even worry about it. Keep it all right in my brain box.
you learn how to start a fire with just a bow drill, then you're done.
Yeah.
You don't need to do any more.
So the thing is skills and knowledge, they take up very little space, Cameron.
Anymore, it feels like.
Yeah, I know. I only got so
My
much
hard
space
drive's
in my head.
full.
Yeah, I need a good defrag here pretty quick, probably. But skills can help you skimp on some items somewhat, and I'm trying to say this with a caveat because it's not like
Exactly.
you can get medical skills and then now you don't need medical gear,
Yeah.
right? But maybe you can learn some first aid techniques and you feel good with it. Maybe you don't need 3 first aid manuals.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just saying there's times when that can help. Can you start fire from your bare ass hands? You know what I mean? Like just rubbing your hands together, you got fire. That's great. I mean, or you do it from things found out in nature.
Yeah.
That is a way that could help you, but I still wouldn't feel good with not having a lighter, by the way. Are you super healthy? Are you getting yourself really healthy and strong? And so now you rely less on medicine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you understand how to treat a fever or when you need to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cam talks about that all the time. Knowledge of each possible situation you may face will again help you curate minimalist preps for each of them. You're not just going to say, I don't know if I'm going to need this. Let's just get it. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll need this. Let's just get it. You're going to say, I know I don't need that because I understand the situation better.
Exactly.
Right? I know exactly what I'm going to need. And it goes back to the food and water thing we talked about too. Do you have gardening skills, foraging skills, hunting skills? All of those things are going to make you feel better with less food storage. Even though I don't necessarily think that means you should have less. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how you feel about it. Water skills. You got them water skills, you don't need as much water. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
knowledge and skills can kind of help you declutter, can help you be more minimalist in your prepping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think it does help a ton. And then, like I was mentioning before, combining uses or multi-purpose tools and things like that can help a ton in eliminating space and unnecessary additional items. And it's one of the best ways to free up space in a bug out bag or just, your at-home kits and things like that. But there's a thing, like with these, you really need to do your research and test the tool.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many like multi-tools that a multi-tool that just like a part of it just does not work.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
well, that was okay. This is a 5-in-1 and it's barely even a 1-in-1.
Oh, yeah.
Like it can do all these things, but none of them at all very good.
Yeah, so you really have to test them.
So
you really have to know how to use it.
You can eliminate a lot. Like I do like that Zippo, like the Zippo axe that we have. It's a 4-in-1, has a bow saw. It has it's got like a hammer on the back, but its main purpose as an axe isn't the greatest. So
No, it doesn't feel good trying to
just
chop
because
the tree
like
down.
the way it's shaped and everything. So you got to test it out.
Yeah.
Do I still carry it? I do. I still think it's pretty useful.
Yeah.
I'm carrying it right now.
Yeah. It's EDC, bro.
Right. Kobe found like EDC knife. I think your favorite one is the Leatherman jacket.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But no, that one, I mean, he found a lot of use for it. So he doesn't have to carry pliers and a knife and so they make a lot of those really nice like emergency radio / battery backup jumper. Some of them are,
And they also make some really crappy ones.
they do make some terrible ones.
Yeah.
You crank all day and you're not going to get any power out of
Yeah.
that thing. And the solar panel is about the size of your thumb.
Yeah.
Like, leave that out in the sun for 5 years. So, but it's nice because you can carry an emergency radio that can charge your device. It duals as a light. It's a radio and just all those little things. So, they make a lot of this in the prepping community and world. Like there's a lot of dual purpose or triple, quadruple purpose items. Bug out bag, going through that and going through your items is a really good way. Like we had mentioned, is you can really eliminate weight by cutting out things that you just don't need. One of the biggest places that you can cut a lot, that you can add a lot of dual purpose is like cooking supplies.
Sure.
Because man, you're not, you're just like clanking around with like 16 pots and pans where you have a really good, like a solo stove with a really nice stainless steel durable pot because you can cook in it, you can boil water in it, you can store items in it while you're carrying it. And so just look at those different ways of using one item to kind of take the place of 4 or 5 items.
Yeah, and like we talk about a lot, most people's bug out bags are far too much stuff, too much weight.
Yeah.
If you go and listen to actually the Bugging Out podcast, I think it's episode 2, I can't remember, with Jonathan Hollerman, he talks about his perfect bug out bag, and that dude's been through it all. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's way smarter than we are.
Yeah, I learned a lot
SEER
from
instructor.
hearing those.
Yeah, he's a SEER instructor. He's on the EMP task force. Like the dude understands what's going on. But his bags are very minimalist.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so that's a great advice to follow, especially if you're going for that minimalist.
Yeah,
prepping.
for sure.
Yeah,
and just there's one catch with this is like there are some single-use items that are of way better quality and way more durable. Like a fixed blade knife, I'm going to go with that for sure in my bug out bag.
Yeah.
I'm not going to combine that with another knife.
Yep.
Because it's just the use, the durability, the risk of breaking it. Like you got to just kind of weigh those options of like, do I want to save space and risk this not being as useful? Because some of those like multi-purpose are small and kind of they're harder to use efficiently.
Yep.
And it's like you're almost at more risk of hurting yourself.
For sure.
So it's like you gotta take your time and go through those items and figure out how you can combine some that, like the little pots and cooking stuff, those are easy. But like when it comes down to a knife that can save your life and build a shelter, like you probably want to go with the single item. So anyways, those are just some ways to kind of trim away by combining items into one, but definitely test it out because there's a ton of trash out there.
That kind of goes into our last point here, which is quality over quantity, right? Like Cam's talking about, like a crappy item that might be good for 3 things. I don't know. You have to discern, is the quality high enough?
Yeah.
It's like, you can have a crap ton of those cheap flashlights you get from the dollar store, but if you have one high quality one, that takes place of all of those.
It does.
Like you can trust it. You know that it's going to work. And so I think it's a really good way to, especially with some of those very specific items that we all use as a prepper, which is a knife and a flashlight, or maybe a headlamp or a backpack. Instead of having 2 cheap ones, get one that's just
backpack's a huge
nice.
deal.
You know what I mean?
Bug out and stuff.
Yeah. You can look at it all the way across the board with all your gear, with all of your preps. Having higher quality items, it's going to help you downsize your stockpile. Instead of those 20 bottles of like the water purifier tablets, get a couple Sawyer minis, call it a day. It's over. Right? So I think quality over quantity is going to help you in the end.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep. And so that's it. That's the Minimalist Prepper. That's how you can get to some sort of minimalism with prepping.
Just don't get to a point of, I'm going to be minimalist and we'll cut out podcast episodes.
Don't do that. Don't. All right?
Yeah.
Today's podcast is brought to you by TacPack, the only monthly tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use our code Casual Preppers. You're going to get a free $70 machine-made part from Next Level Armament. And that's pretty rad. And guess what? We have the latest TacPack with us. We're pretty excited. The first item is the Cross Machine Tool Compensator. It's a pretty rad little compensator. You got to have one.
Yeah.
It compensates. The Foam Action Sports Shooting Rest. Pretty cool.
Just a big piece of foam.
Yeah.
You can lay your gun.
It's got some great
different
wedges in
slots.
there for shooting. It's kind of nice. And then we got the Bad Clear Dust Cover. This thing is kind of cool. It's a dust cover for your AR, but it's clear. You can see through it. Can you find it? It's in there, I promise. It's in a little package. Little tiny package of plastic.
There, I found
There
it.
she is, yeah.
Sticker was hiding it.
Yeah, it's clear.
Nice.
Kind of neat. And then we got the Birchwood Casey cloth. And then we've got the shooting targets. You got to have shooting targets.
Yes, sir.
We got the Optimus Prime sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have a
You
transformer.
got a 100-round drum.
Yeah. And then we got the Swamp Fox Red Dot Liberator 2.
Ooh.
Hello. That's pretty rad.
That is really sweet.
Yeah. So,
How do they fit it? Like, that alone has to be.
yeah, I think
the whole
that's in the
box.
plus. That's if you got TacPack Plus.
Gotcha.
So, anyways, use our code Casual Preppers. It's pretty cool.
It's time for the quick and dirty medical tip.
So this is just really short and sweet.
I like that.
My only
Minimalist.
recommendation right now is go through your medicine cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Go through your meds. Look at them. Because like I said, there's a lot, like anything that's liquid based expires pretty quickly. And I mean, sometimes it's even still in the box. You
Yeah.
you open it up and you're like, I'm going to use this cough syrup. And liquids are quite a bit more risky to like use past the expiration date. But being a minimalist, like this is something you can really do with your medical supplies is you can go through them and eliminate. And one bottle is probably like, how often are you going to use Tylenol? Like Kobe? Never. So you probably only need one bottle for your whole family.
Yep.
And so you can really cut down on those supplies and then go through your those medical kits. Like I said, Kobe had mentioned it too. It's like you can buy those trauma kits, but do you really know how to apply and when's the right time to apply one of those hyphen, sucking chest wound things? Like it's not bad to have them, but you can save a lot of time and a lot of space by going through and looking at those items that you even know how to use.
See, I look at it this way, at least on my end. I don't really know how to use it, but I know you probably do.
That's the thing.
And
is
so-
yeah.
I'm still going to keep it because I figure shit hits the fan.
And that's
we're probably
and
going
that
to be
applies
together.
big time.
Yeah.
But go through your items and make sure the medications and stuff that you have
Yeah.
or you think you have are not expired, because medications have a pretty quick expiration date. So that was the only thing I had for
I like it.
a medical tip, is just take that time
Yeah.
and take your minimalistic ideas now and
Mm-hmm.
go through your medicine cabinet and eliminate all those excess bottles that I guarantee are expired.
Yeah.
Don't flush them down the drain either.
Mm-hmm. And again, all this is for only those people that are trying to be minimalist preppers. You don't have to be.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
be that prepper
You can
that
leave
just,
it all alone
you
and
can
just
be-
stockpile everything.
Just keep building up
But-
that pile of stuff. You
Yeah.
can do whatever
I
you
do
want.
like the idea.
I do too.
Just don't know if I'll ever apply it.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys listening. Please make sure you've hit subscribe. Make sure that you've gone to all of the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of the places, even the Twitter. We're there. So please go follow us, and we sincerely appreciate it, and stay survived.